What's up everybody? So generating random numbers in Python is actually really straightforward. First thing you want to do is import the random module. And this module is actually built into Python, so you shouldn't have to install it. You can just import it right away. Now, if you want to generate a random integer, a random whole number, you just use the random.randint function. And let's save this into a variable called myNumber. Now the randint function, it will return a random integer in range a to b, including both endpoints. So if we set a to 1 and b to 10, for instance, we're going to get a random integer between 1 and 10, including 1 and 10. So we could get 1 as our random integer, and we can also get 10 as our random integer. So if we print my number and we run this, as you can see, our first random integer is 1, which is our starting point over here. And if we keep running this, it's just going to keep giving us random integers. And in this case, we got 10 as our random integer, which is our endpoint over here. Now, what if you wanted to generate a random floating number, a random decimal number? Well, you can use the random.random function for this. And the random.random function, it'll give you a number in the interval 0 and 1. But pay attention to the interval here. It's including 0, so we can get 0 as our random floating number. But it's excluding 1. So we're not going to get 1 as our floating number. We're going to get anything from 0 to 0.999999 as our random floating number, but we're not going to get 1. So if we run this function, let me clear this. If we run this function and we print it out, as you can see, we're getting these random floating numbers between 0 and 1, but we're not going to get 1. Now, what if you wanted to generate a random floating number between, let's say, 0 and 10? So you want to generate a random floating number between 0 and 10. How would you do that? Well, you can just take the random floating number that you get from this random.random function and you multiply it by 10. And this will give you a random floating number between 0 and 9.99999. We're not going to get 10. We're not going to get 10 as our random floating number, because in order to get 10, we'd have to get 1 from this random.random function and multiply it by 10. But this random.random function is not going to give us 1. Remember, it's excluding 1. So we're going to get a random floating number between 0 and 9.99999. So if we run this function, as you can see, we're getting these random floating numbers between 0 and 10, excluding 10. And that is how you generate random numbers in Python.